path from survival to significance isn't easy, but it also isn't a mystery. The freedom, fulfillment, and financial outcomes you hoped for from your real estate career are within reach. You just have to follow the path that leads there. Okay, Dylan, kicking off with a question. You ready?
Always.
Okay, let's do this. So I am genuinely curious, what is something that you have struggled with when learning to effectively delegate?
I'm lucky. I'm lucky because for some reason delegation comes naturally to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's everybody hates delegation. Maybe somewhere along the line I just got good at having other people do things.
Okay.
But maybe the reason that's been easy for me is my gifting is seeing a great leader. Sorry, that sounds terrible.
No,
but a great
yeah,
leader needs to understand where point A is and where point B is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know, one, where you are, point A,
Yeah.
you're going to be marching towards point B
In
the wrong direction. And you got to know where point B is. A lot of great leaders actually know point B very well. They can like speak about their mission and their vision, where they're going, but sometimes aren't honest with themselves about point A.
Okay.
I mean, I like to think of delegation as number one, you got to be clear about what you're trying to accomplish. You got to know point A and you got to know point B. And then you got to be able to see the gap between those two things. What are the steps? What's the process that needs to happen to get from A to B? And for some reason, that's always been, well, that's my unique ability.
Yeah, it is part of unique ability.
So
Interesting.
delegation
Never
is just
thought about it through
a function of knowing that, know point A and point B, be honest about the work to be done and see the steps that need to happen, and then be able to convey that to somebody else. And then I think the hardest part to answer your question is just that any form of success through others is more difficult than success
on your own,
through yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's always easier as a default to do it yourself. Our agents struggle with this more than anything else. Like
Yes.
they're rugged individuals and they're good at doing things. So being able to identify A, B steps to be done and then trust somebody else to do it, man, you got to have a lot of patience, and it adds a whole nother level of complexity. It also, though, adds capability.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting. It does tie to your unique ability more than I realized when I asked you that question. That's so true.
That is what I do.
Yeah, that is what you do. But yeah, for me, it's always been, my struggle is sticky fingers, I guess. I have a hard time letting go of the things that I'm like, well, if it is to be, I'm just got to do it. Like, I'm just going to do it.
But why? Control?
Yeah.
Excellence.
Control
Trust.
is probably. And then I think, the biggest thing for me is then the trust part, right? So I can clearly see where we need to go, but I have a hard time letting it go. Yeah.
And you have to play the long game.
With people. Yes.
Well, you have to decide that. I mean, sometimes the immediate result is the most important thing and you just got to do it yourself. I mean, that is true. But if you're playing a long game and you have somewhere you want to be, you want to build something. And you want to be able to ever go on vacation. I mean, you got to decide the trade-off. And the trade-off is, it's going to be more work to do this through somebody else. At least the first 1 to 400 times.
Yeah.
But eventually what this will do is the trade-off will provide freedom and
you get to go do other
scalability
things.
for me. So
that's
it's a decision.
Yeah, that's good. So keep going. We talked about clarity. We talked about trust for me, letting things go. What else do our agents specifically struggle with? Because we're talking specifically about our entrepreneurs, our realtor entrepreneurs. Is there more things that, I can think of a few things that they struggle with specifically?
I mean, one is they're just, they're impatient. And so they expect somebody else to be able to read their mind. They expect somebody else to understand what the outcome looks like. So one, impatience. Two, I would say delayed gratification, which is it's really what I was just saying. It's like, you've got to play the long game. What's your ultimate goal here? Is it to build a machine that works for you, or is it to have excellent, perfect results now? It's a trade-off in every single one of those instances. This is a big challenge for rugged individuals.
Yeah. We see it all the time. So, I had a discussion with agents about this yesterday, something that they wanted to delegate, and they're struggling to see how they're going to be able to do that, right? And so I think we're going to mostly focus on the clarity part. Like, I think we're going to focus on the clarity and the communication part just to get started today, but there's so much more to this. And I wrote success through others is more difficult. So you have to be able to get there.
It's also more fulfilling.
Yes.
And it's also bigger, and you can accomplish amazing things. So
when you invite other people in to help you, right?
Just got to know what you're signing up for.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest struggle our agents have to answer that question is I think that we expect magical results from someone simply because we hired them and agreed to pay them an hourly rate. But the investment that I've had to make into every one of our team members over the course of 20-something years to get to a place where they're excellent at what they do, no offense, we have amazing people, but it was hard work.
It didn't just start day one, right?
It took time. And so you got to first decide. You have to decide to sign up for that work. And if you're not willing to sign up for that work, you're going to dabble and try and then get frustrated and then want to burn it all down. And that's fine. That's another option. You can choose to go it alone and just get it done. And we've got some amazing operators that have decided, you know what, it's better for me just to do everything. Yeah. I personally think that's selling yourself short. This can be learned and you can get good at delegation. It's a skill like anything else.
Yeah. And it's a decision to build something, right? Because I'm imagining like the choice to do this with others allows you to go do more of what you want to do, to the freedom from to do those things. And you're just continue to bump up a ceiling of complexity if you don't put some of those things in place to be able to effectively delegate. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that clarity piece then. So first, if you are going to invite someone in and you make that choice, I'm going to have this thing that I'm going to have someone else help me accomplish. First, you need to do what? Like, what do you need to get clear on first in your own head before you're inviting someone else in?
We're not talking about hiring.
No, this is specifically going to, I've decided I'm going to have someone else help me with this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's very rational, A, B, and steps from A to B. And then you got to really know what B looks like. So the way I would answer that question more pragmatically is to say you got to be very, very crystal clear on what it is that you're wanting to accomplish.
Yes.
What is the project? Give it a name.
Yep.
What is the description of what it is we're trying to do? It sounds stupid to start with that, but the truth is when we watch people delegate poorly, oftentimes you as the leader or
delegator, yep.
You're not clear.
Absolutely.
You want some outcome and you want some difference. You want B.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I can see everybody that says, I just want to hand off social media. I want this thing done, right? But you've never taken the time to outline everything that needs to happen in between in order to get there.
Yeah, so I mean, I can talk through like our clarity builder, for example, which the delegation filter is essentially
very similar.
Same thing. Yep. I'm not sure if
that's exactly where I was going next. Yeah.
I mean, what do you want to accomplish? That to me is a description of the project, the mission. What is this thing? Mm-hmm. I find that the next step is incredibly important, which is why is this important? What impact will this make? Because I can describe an initiative. But when I sometimes say why this, like what impact it would make, it actually creates more clarity than the description of the project. Mm-hmm. The impact or the outcome or the purpose or the cause is actually the thing that tends to click in people's mind. I'm like, oh, I get it. If we do this thing that you just described, which just sounded like a bunch of to-dos to me, when you describe why, what impact it would make, now I get how it would need to be done and the angle through which this would, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. But if I understand that the point of skinning the cat is to get the fur, then I'm going to be very careful on how I skin the cat because I'm going to protect the fur. If I think the purpose of skinning the cat is to, I don't know.
I'm struggling.
Eat the cat, then I might not care about the fur. Terrible metaphor.
That's not great.
Well, but I didn't make up the metaphor of 2 ways to skin a cat.
I know.
But I think you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
And so why or the impact provides another layer of clarity.
Right.
And then I think the third step there is to define the results. So like what's the ideal outcome once this is accomplished, which means what does winning look like? And so those are the first 3 steps.
Yeah. And I think defining what winning looks like, again, it's so impactful to me when you're making yourself go through that process first, because how in the world are you going to hand this to somebody else if you can't first say, why in the world am I trying to do this? And what does it look like when it's done and successful?
Well,
right?
You're kind of a dork if you're frustrated with someone for not being able to accomplish something you delegated and you haven't taken the time to
figure out.
And I don't mean to be rude, but often
that's what's happening.
That's the biggest problem.
Yes.
There's a lack of clarity on the delegator's side.
Yes, exactly. So defining all of that, right? Like again, the planner kind of goes through other success criteria and things like that. But this also makes me think about putting systems in place, right? So how can you also first take your hand off a lever? This is kind of off of this, but I think next is, could you have standard operating procedures? I go to standard operating procedures for some of this stuff that you're going to want.
Brain works.
I know that I want to then delegate because I have built it out. I know exactly what this is going to look like. So I'm going to have all of that defined and then hand it off. Like that's the system part of this. Like as part of the delegation for me is like build the system and then hand that off to somebody else. And when you've got it clearly defined, someone else can take that wheel and do it for you.
I mean, I think I understand what you're saying. The way I explain what I think you just said is that I strongly encourage people to do the thing that they're wanting to delegate once themselves.
Yes.
Sometimes we get impatient with people because we expect that they're supposed to solve some outcome we're looking for, but we've never taken the time to try and figure out how to do it ourselves.
Yes.
And it's just not possible. Or there's roadblocks that we're not imagining. And
if you haven't first done it yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, some things I think you should, if not do yourself, at least be incredibly clear about the process of what, why, and what the result looks like. And then I think the added portion of that is being incredibly clear about what success looks like. So, whereas the result would be describing what's accomplished when this is done, the success criteria is more bulleted. I'm thinking,
this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like.
The specific metric would be hit. It would be accomplished by this period of time. It would be for this amount of budget. It would be, it's the specific bullet points of what is now true when
this thing is accomplished.
Result has been accomplished.
Yeah, when this thing is accomplished. So if you're laying all of this out, you're clear on what your point A, what your point B is, you're defining what that success is going to look like, you've got the clarity, then handing it off to somebody. I feel like the communication is the big part of handing it off to somebody next, because I feel oftentimes a trouble or a problem with delegation often then is what we define as open file syndrome. And I think we've got the way to overcome this is to hand somebody something that's very clearly defined and then going into the levels of delegation. So that's kind of how I frame this so that you don't have open file syndrome. You have some levels of delegation around it.
Everyone needs to see this open file syndrome cartoon.
Yes.
This
is so powerful.
Yeah, it's had more impact in my team than almost any. I mean, I remember, I think I printed this for Anna a decade, 2 ago. And
we've had this conversation.
Wall for a while, yeah. Do we try and explain open file syndrome?
Yes, I would like to before we go to like how you can kind of overcome that.
Yeah, so open file syndrome starts with you, a delegator, and you've got something that you want to be accomplished. And so in the second part of the cartoon, you communicate that to somebody else. You say,
very clearly, hopefully,
here's a thing that I'd like to have accomplished. And this individual walks off and goes, okay, I've got this file.
Yep.
I will do this file. And then they, 2 minutes later, accomplish the task. They get it done. It's now good.
Good, it's done.
Except you, the delegator, don't know that because you weren't there. You were somewhere else.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So then you drive home and you're going, I wonder if that thing got done. And then you're showering and you're wondering if that thing got done.
And you're sleeping and you can't sleep.
Bed. And then the next day you're like, or it's in the middle of a meeting, you freak out. You go, or sometimes 6 weeks later, you go, oh crap, did that thing get done? And it's only when you go back to the individual or they come to you and say, oh yeah, just so you know, that thing was done, that the file gets to get put away in your brain.
Yep.
And as an entrepreneur, we know we have thousands of files
at the same time.
You're a mom, you're a dad, you're a sports coach, you're a business owner, you're a CEO, a CFO, a CEO.
You've got to wear all these hats.
You got 400 clients. Every one of those carries open files. So in the context of working well in delegation or with your team or with your admin, it's essential that you understand and they understand how open file syndrome works. Part of effective delegation is understanding that clearly communicating what A and B and the result and the work to be done is.
Yes.
1, you must know it. 2, you must be able to convey that. And then 3, we got to understand that we live in a world where open loops, open files are cluttering our brain.
And they cause more chaos to build up, right?
And what I've experienced is that by just showing this cartoon to people and that I'm delegating to, it greatly empowers them to recognize, oh, well, totally, of course. Here, let me just close the loop with a simple email or a text to say, hey, just, got that done. And that, what's the right word? That discipline, the discipline of creating communications that are clear.
Communication loop.
And closing loops.
Closing the loop.
When they're done, massively frees up my mind, because I know that I've got a team that when it needs to come back to me, it will come back to me. But if it doesn't need to come back to me, which is our next point.
Yes, exactly.
Then it doesn't need to come back to me.
Yes.
But that way I never have to carry
the burden of the wonder.
Yes, which is a completely stupid, because I've given this to someone that I know, like, and trust, but I'm carrying the weight while they're carrying the weight. And that's part of what drives us nuts as entrepreneurs, is we're carrying too many things we can't trust. And that's because we haven't done a good job of creating the discipline and the structure around effective delegation.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is super impactful for me when we first had that conversation. And then when I tied this to the 4 levels of delegation, that was even more impactful for me, because I could understand that there were different ways of how you can understand handing these things off and closing those loops. So this level really solidified that idea for me.
It's another thing that's set on people's walls for quite a while.
Yeah, right? It's so impactful. So there's 4 levels. We call this 4 levels of delegation. Level 1, right? And I would love for you to talk about each of these really quick, but assess, research, and report before taking action. So what's a level 1 kind of look like? If I say this is a level 1 delegation, assess, research, and report back before taking action.
I have a giant, scary mission. I'd like you to get started on it, but I don't trust you, because I don't trust me. I don't know what we're doing. Get started.
Yes.
And then just let me know what progress you make before we do anything big or scary.
Right.
That's level 1.
I love that as level 1.
Get started.
Just get started. Come back to me. Let's talk. Let's ET that and have the next meeting ready to go.
That's like, hey, do this research, find this, see if you can track this down, get this project started, but we're not doing anything yet. Bring it back to me.
Bring it back to me.
And label it, like saying, this should be on your wall and their wall.
Yes. This is a level 1 delegation.
Guys, level 1, if you want to get this started.
Yep, absolutely. Level 2, I love this. Handle, but give regular updates. So what does that look like?
Yeah, I think you can get this done, but this is close to my heart. This is something that I would like to, I'm worried something could come undone along the way. This is too important to just have it go away and hope that you get it done. So I trust you, get it done, but I'd like to be kept in the loop along the way in case, I change my mind or something goes array or
that's
level 2.
Continuing to close the loop, right? Just keep me in the loop on what's happening.
Yeah.
Level 3, handle and just report the final result.
I trust you got it, but I need to know when this is done, because I've got other things in my brain that are connected to this. I've got other projects, and frankly, I'm going to put this to bed in my brain, but there's other things I'm going to want to do afterwards. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to put this part of my brain to sleep.
Exactly.
Get this done. Let me know when it's done, because then that'll be my alarm clock to do the next set of things.
Yeah, that's I was imagining that file that whole time that you were talking about.
You've got the
right?
file.
You've got the
but
file.
Bring it back to me when it's done.
Just make sure I know it's done. Yes. And then level 4, I love this one too. And I think it's great to have some of these things as you're delegating. But level 4, handle, no need to report, make it go away.
Yeah, you got this. Please don't ever talk to me about it again. It's something that I'm frustrated by, and I just need this to be done. And of course, you got this. Level 1 through 4, they're hugely empowering. They're empowering to me because I can create a system for ensuring whether or not it's going to come back to me.
Exactly.
And the frequency with which it's going to come back to me.
Yes.
Why is it empowering on the receiving end?
I'm the person on the receiving end of that, and I go back to the cartoon picture of the open file syndrome. The whole time I was like, oh, I got this. I didn't even know I needed to report back. This alleviates me from knowing this is what this person needs from me to close the loop and to make them feel good about it too. So that to me is the unification of a good communication between the 2 team members who are doing this work together.
It's comical and sad to think of all the breakdowns that go on in well-intentioned people trying to help someone and trying to get a project done. But the amount of opportunity for miscommunication, misunderstanding, and then annoyance along the way. This solves a lot of problems.
Yes, because we're humans. And so like you just said, call it out, right? So the beauty of this tool, the delegation planner, the way that we've got it built, it's at the bottom of the sheet just to remind you, hey, call it out. When you're handing something off, you've got the clarity on what the thing is, what success looks like, who's going to do it, when it's done, what does success criteria look like. Call out that level of delegation, because then everybody is truly on the same page. on what you're going to get done and what you're going to accomplish.
What I've learned about taking the time to do the clarity builder, which is just I'm thinking about it. The delegation planner, which is really a repeat of that, but it's the one you're going to hand off, is half the time you're like, man, I'm not even sure this project's a good idea.
Right, exactly.
Or, you know what? I didn't even think this through. There's a bunch of stuff that we don't know that I have to go research.
That I need to figure out first, yeah.
It's right expectations. It's holding yourself accountable that what you're passing on to someone can be passed on, that they've got what they need in order to possibly win and have success. And then that you've established the rules of engagement for how much information we need back and forth. It's not perfect. It's always going to be messy, and delegation will always be tricky because you're still dealing with two crazy people, and one of them's you. But your chances of success are going to be a whole lot higher.
Yeah, I want to go back to that first statement. Success through others, right? While more challenging, is ultimately more rewarding. But it is the choice. You decide to do this, and then this is just one way to help you kind of go about this and be more successful. And again, you can choose not to. You can choose not to have the extra success through others and do it all on your own. But if you're going to build something more and work on your business and even live outside of your business, I think you got to do it with others alongside you.
I'm glad you pulled this module out. This is something we built quite a while ago, but I think it's one of the best resources out there.
Yeah, really check it out. Everything's in the Forge under the coaching resources, guys.